welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host today, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and on Twitter at @U_Capper. Before we get into the three games we're going to break down today, I got to talk about some promos really quick. Yesterday was $2 Tuesday, and we still have a couple active $2 Tuesday plays available on SportsMemo.com. Dion D'Amico and Dr. Chuck both have their $2 Tuesday plays still available. And Jimmy Adams at Wager Talk as well. And then we have a second promo here for Halloween. Get 31% off any all access package at Sports Memo and on Wager Talk with code BOO31 at checkout. Head to sportsmemo.com after the show for more information on that one. So two solid promos there. Obviously, $2 Tuesday is where it's at. A lot of value there, and Dion and Dr. Chuck get the job done with their 5% plays. So head over there and find those deals. Now let's get Matt up in here, talk about some games. Man, I was on like a hot streak to start the season. Then the last 2 days I've been on two losing days in a row. So I need to bounce back day to day. Matt, how's your NBA season gone so far?
Honestly, you sound just like me. Started off fairly hot, and the last 2 days, I think I am 4-6 actually, so not where I want to be whatsoever. I personally just feel like I misread that game last night. I had Golden State. We talked about this a little bit before. I think the Suns needed that game a little bit more. You know, a lot of this, sometimes it doesn't come down to the actual roster construction. It comes down to who needs this game more, who it means more to, and I think last night that was the Suns. But luckily hit on that free pick I gave out yesterday with the Pelicans, but other than that, got to get back in the winner's circle today.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean, yesterday was the start of what I call like the injury report, mess ups, or I don't want to cuss on the show, but on my Twitter I use the little middle finger emoji, so you see how that is. But the thing is, like you have people considered out, like specifically out on the injury report, and then other people who are in. And you want to take advantage of the line at some point, right? You want to get there early. And if you do, then obviously you're on the right side. But if they wait until like 2 hours before the game, you already placed the bet, then they flip it. The guy that was in is now out, and the guy that's out is now in. That was like a 5-point drop off on based on the players who were there, right? It's not just like normal role players. You're talking about key players that are going to be handling the ball for a majority of the time for these squads, SGA on OKC. So that hurt a little bit. And what I'm doing is actually putting a list of teams, because I feel like this might be like an organization type issue. Is some teams are not going to be trustworthy with their injury report, and some teams will. And right now, OKC and and the Clippers are on that list of not being able to trust. We can trust the Pelicans. They did a good job with their injury report. We can probably list a few other teams, but I'm going to keep that running list of teams that we can't trust and not bet those teams early based on their injury report. What are your thoughts on that real quick before we get into those games?
I honestly think that's a great idea, because I don't know if like the average individual who bets on the NBA realizes how important it is to have those injury reports intact, to know who's playing in those games. Because, like you said, having a primary ball handler and a pure scorer like SGA, maybe not playing and then he's declared in, that changes everything. You know what I mean? That changes the lineup construction. That changes, how many points are going to be scored, usage percentage, player props, everything across the board is affected by that one guy. So I really like that idea. It's just taking a deep dive, who you can trust, who you can't trust. And, I think with every team, there's going to be times you can trust them and times you can't. But getting that running list of having the teams that you can trust maybe more than another, I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I'm gonna be keeping that list on Twitter, and then we'll see how that list goes throughout the season. But definitely the Clippers and Thunder on that list right away. With that said, first game on the board, Hornets Knicks here. Two teams I feel like, well, at least one team I feel like is surprising a lot of people. The Hornets are 2-1 without LaMelo Ball. Last game I think they were out with they didn't have Rozier either. And I think you mentioned before the show he might be out again today. The Knicks, they look pretty solid as well, 2-1 on the season. but it could be the opponents that they've been facing. They played the Pistons and the Magic here, who
Yep.
really aren't offensive juggernauts. So their defensive rating kind of looks a lot better than what maybe they really might be, and their pace is up from last season as well. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, for me, we talked about this a little bit before, and we talked about that injury replacement theory. I did run that last night with the New Orleans Pelicans, but you got to also like the guys that are going to be sliding in for those injured players. For me, with the Hornets, it's tough for me to like some of the players sliding in. Terry Rozier is most likely not going to play, not declared out just yet. And he has been playing very good basketball. A big reason the Hornets are 2-1 right now, and somewhat of a surprise. But if he does not play, then Dennis Smith Jr., he's already going to be in that starting lineup, most likely with LaMelo Ball. Then they're either going to plug in James Bouknight, who's had some trouble as of late, or Theo Maledon. And if you've watched Theo Maledon last year with the Oklahoma City Thunder, he's a very streaky player, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many nights that he exactly goes off. I do like Kelly Oubre Jr. Defensively, he's solid. Offensively, he can create a spark sometimes. And now and then he can go off. Is tonight the night? I really don't know, because when you do look at the Knicks right now, yes, they have definitely faced subpar competition, but the Knicks are 9th in average defensive rating, or adjusted defensive rating, throughout the NBA. In adjusted net rating throughout the NBA, the Knicks are 10th right now, when the Hornets are, bottom third throughout the league, even though they're 2-1, but have had subpar competition. To your point, for me here, I'm not sure what way I would lean with the spread. I think the Hornets might still be able to cover this one. I think the Knicks are a pretty secure money line pick if you want to add them into a parlay or anything along those lines. I think there's a couple decent money line parlay pieces, like the Jazz tonight in their second matchup against the Rockets. I like those two pieces together. But for me, if I were to go spread here anyway, I think the Hornets might be able to cover this, but I still like the Knicks bench. They got Derrick Rose coming off the bench. They got Quickly coming off the bench, two spark plug guys who can get you points. And when you're comparing those two teams' benches, I definitely give the Knicks a huge nudge here, and with the starting lineup as well. So if I were to go anywhere, I think it would be Knicks money line here, but if I were to pick a spread, I'd ride the Hornets.
Yeah, this is tough because for me, the injured player theory usually lasts one game. Then the game after that, if that same player's out, you gotta go with the truth of where the team actually lies with their skill set. And I think today it would be towards the Knicks here. Like you said, the bench is really great. I know some of the numbers is kind of misleading, especially on the defensive side of the ball because of who they face so far.
Yeah.
But their offense has been a top 10 offense. They're taking care of the ball, and they're just a lot more efficient this time around, and their pace is up from last season. And for me, the one surprising thing with the Hornets is without LaMelo Ball, they're able to keep that pace up as well. Yeah. So one thing that I was looking at with both teams kind of playing pretty good offense right now and a fast pace was actually towards the over. The Knicks were 29th in the league in pace last season, and them being in the middle of the pack so far through a few games here, I feel like it might be something that is new to this to their offense, just because of the efficiency of how Brunson actually runs the offense. They actually have a point guard that can take care of the ball and really be a leader on the court on the offensive side of the ball. So to me, I think an overlook is the way to go. I see what you're saying with the Knicks money line here, but I don't think I wouldn't be scared of the spread here. If you look at their schedule right now, other than the Grizzlies game 1, right? They took care of the Pistons and the Magic. Now they have a Hornets team who should be sort of towards the bottom of the league. They really surprised everyone with a 2-1 record, in my opinion. Now after today, this is the Knicks schedule: Bucks, Cavs, Hawks, Sixers, Celtics, Wolves, and Nets. That's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that they could possibly lose outright in a row. They gotta get this one. There's no way that they cannot. They can't look ahead of this game and think they're gonna get maybe 2 wins out of that next 8 games. That's gonna be a tough schedule. To me, I think they take care of business about today. I think they know how important to get every single win is. And for me, the next 8 games, this is the one that they really need to get to take care of. So 7.5 seems like a big spread. I understand injury theory as well, but I think it's a second game without Rozier, the third, fourth game or whatever without LaMelo Ball. So my opinion, I think that kind of falls off now, and I would just say take the Knicks here. What are your thoughts on looking ahead to a schedule like that and seeing like, all right, well, this is the one I know we can win, so we got to take care of business.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, honestly, because, it's tough. If you're a player, you're definitely looking at that schedule. You know who's coming up down the line, and you know what games are going to be potentially tough and what games are probably going to be easier. And that's why in certain games, certain teams get overlooked. And that's why in, other times, you're favored and you lose or whatever that may be. So I do think that's a great look. And this is one that they definitely need to get done here. Yeah, I think looking back at that too, like, it's kind of a correction spot as well for the Pelicans. I don't think this is that good of a basketball team, especially if Terry Rozier is out. Dennis Smith Jr. was somewhat in the G League last year. This is a player who's not going to go out and win the game for you. And I don't think Gordon Hayward's really that guy either. So, if I were to you're kind of changing my mind a little bit. I think I'm still going to sit on the money line for right now, but you bring up some very good points there. I like what the Knicks do. They have way more scores than the Hornets. They play better defense than the Hornets. And I could definitely see a correction spot here.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I don't always want to talk you over, talk you off of your play, but I like to talk it out.
That's a great point. That look ahead is not something that I checked out. So yeah, I think that's a great angle.
Cool. All right. So next game up, Nets Bucks. Through 2 games, the Bucks are number 1 in the league in defensive rating, 2-0, right? 2-0, right? They're well rested. All the rest of the league has 4 games or 3 games. They have 2 so far. I mean, they did catch the Sixers on a bad spot following a game against the Celtics on day 1 of the season. That was a tough matchup for them. Then they obviously overmatched a Rockets team there. Nets are 1-2 on the season. Finally got put together a good offensive output. Kind of, to me, even through the preseason, might be their first best offensive output of the year so far. They're missing they're missing Curry, Morris, and Warren. Bucks are still missing Middleton and Connaughton and Ingles. That's a lot of perimeter offense there. Through 2 games, they showed that they could win, but is that enough to take care of business against a Nets team that maybe kind of putting it together? What are your thoughts on this one?
So yeah, with this one, I do think that the Nets are starting to put it together. Again, it's hard for me not to go to last year's playoffs. You know what I mean? With Kyrie Irving, with Kevin Durant taking the majority of that load when they're playing the greater teams throughout the Eastern Conference or throughout the NBA, it has shown that it really doesn't work. They faced the Memphis Grizzlies in their last game, and Kevin Durant gave everything he could. I think he had 37 points or something along those lines. Kyrie Irving went off as well, and they just don't have the supporting cast right now to get them over the hump. Yes, the Bucks are injured as well, but this is also in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a very tough place to play. They went 26-10 at home last year, and 4 of those games in which they lost at home were without Giannis. Giannis is playing today as well, so that they easily could have had a 30-6 record at home last year. And when you look at matchups in this game, I just like the Bucks more. I do. Drew Holiday against Kyrie Irving. Drew Holiday is one of the better guards that can defend throughout the NBA. When looking at Kevin Durant, the Bucks are just taller. They're longer. Giannis may play him a little bit. Bobby Portis might be on him. They got big bodies like Brook Lopez as well. So that kind of does make me like this Milwaukee Bucks team more. Again, they're number 1 in defensive efficiency or rating across the entire NBA. They're well rested too. The last time that they played was October 22nd. And when I first thought about it, I was a little bit like, is that too long to wait? You know what I mean? But the 76ers already had a game, and then they were playing the Milwaukee Bucks in Philadelphia, and the Bucks got up for that game. They played very good defensively, not that great offensively, but the Nets are one of the worst defensive teams in the entire NBA. They've always had a ton of trouble stopping Giannis. At home in Milwaukee against the Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks are 3-1, and again, that one loss was without Giannis. So this is just one of those games where I love that the Milwaukee Bucks are at home. They're one of the best teams at home. Drew Holiday didn't have that good of a game in his last outing. I don't think that'll happen again. I think he increases his offensive output. And it's one of those situations where Yes, 100%. Kyrie Irving can go off and put 35 up. Kevin Durant can go off and put up 35. But is this the situation for it? Would I say that this is probable? I would say no. And without those two going out and getting 30, I think they have a tough time against this Bucks team. So I'm going to side with the Bucks here.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're well rested. The Nets are, sort of like back-to-back travel spots here. They just played a tough Grizzlies squad as well, and then they're on the first game of back-to-back games. They play the Mavs tomorrow at home. This one to me, I feel like is just tough because sometimes I don't know. Like if we look at matchups between Kevin Durant and the Bucks, right? What I wanted to focus on, because I still want to see the Nets and how they transition, because yeah, they had a good one game, but I'm not too sure if they really figured everything out yet.
Yeah.
The other thing too is how do the Bucks, defend KD, right? Last time, before they had PJ Tucker, but to be honest, Kevin Durant kind of owned, those matchups still with the Nets against the Bucks. His last match, 6 matchups, he's gone over his PRA today is 40.5. He's gone over that in all 6 games. The thing is, like you mentioned, is Giannis is going to be playing up with him. Maybe I don't think he's going to play him the whole time, because there's a couple reasons why I feel like Giannis might not defend him the whole game. Is one is KD's ability to handle the ball. I think that his shiftiness might be able to kind of get Giannis in foul trouble. And if that happens, that's going to be doomed for Milwaukee, right? They don't got Middleton to kind of be their second scorer. Drew could score and a couple of other guys can score, but they're not, to me, I feel like they're not as big of a threat, right? Then the other piece is if Giannis comes out and kind of defends Durant in the perimeter, that leaves mid-range for Kyrie open. And also that pick and roll with him and Claxton, which to me has been an underrated kind of thing that they have going on there is Kyrie and Claxton working the post, the pick and roll. For me, I feel like I don't think Giannis is going to be sticking KD. KD is probably going to get Portis or someone who's not as athletic or as great of a defender. I feel like he can still get over this 40.5 PRA. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think the 40.5 PRA is a smash spot. Like, now you saying that, I love that, because Kevin Durant is one of those players too. He looks forward to these matchups. He does. Yeah. He goes off on the Bucks. He gets points. And one thing, Kevin Durant's game has slowly evolved, especially since he has gotten with the Nets. He gets a lot of assists. He gets a ton of rebounds. The more competitive the game, too, with Kevin Durant, the more you can see him crash the boards. This is one of those games where I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if he got 8, 9, even 10 rebounds. The better the game, the more competitive, the more aggressive Kevin Durant is. So I love that 40.5 PRA.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing, too, I was thinking about, too, how Drew is probably one of the better perimeter defenders in the league as well. If he's on Kyrie, they're probably gonna like maybe not have him play more one-on-one ball, but play off ball a little bit and have KD handle the ball a little bit more, especially if Giannis is on him on the perimeter. So I could definitely see more assists as well. That's a good look. Yeah.
In all honesty, when you look at this too, like I think Giannis is a great play in terms of point prop, PRA, whatever it may be. And I also think Kevin Durant is, like you said, because when you take a look at this, like with the players that they're missing here, like with the Milwaukee Bucks, Chris Middleton is out, Pat Connaughton is out. So really who they have to defend KD is going to be Giannis. It's going to be Bobby Portis, maybe Jordan Nwora. But who would be interesting? I wonder if they'll even bring Thanasis in just to guard him, just to be a defender.
Just because he's physical.
Just because he's physical. He's a big body. Like, that's one thing that I was kind of thinking, like, out in left field. You know what I mean? But then when you look at the Nets, too, like, it's going to be tough for them as well, because Ben Simmons he's been getting in foul trouble early in the season. If he does that again, then they have Royce O'Neal, who's okay. You know what I mean? But after Royce O'Neal, it's got to be KD. Like, there's no one else, because Markieff is out, TJ Warren is out, unless they bring in Kessler Edwards, where he does now and then get a couple minutes. But, both teams against the 4 position might struggle tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Claxton's just way too skinny to guard Giannis, so I can't. He's so skinny. But I just really like how athletic he is. He really fits that kind of like remember when Harden and I'm blanking out on the center now from Houston. He's with Atlanta now. Capella.
Cabang, yeah.
Yeah, that pick and roll. Oh my, that worked so well. I could see Kyrie and Claxton kind of doing that
In
a
that
lot.
going.
Yeah, but yeah, that I like that PRA. That'd probably be the way that I go in that game. I want to stay away from the side there until I see the Nets fully kind of have their offense going. Maybe a look towards the over. I know it's a high total, but the pace of play, Bucks defense is not that. I mean, I think Bucks defense at number one makes sense, but they've only played 2 games and they haven't really faced, like a great offensive team. In my opinion, they caught 76ers just in a bad spot. So I feel like that might take a dip. Their defense might take a dip in this game. Maybe a look towards the over as well.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So next game up, Lakers and Nuggets. This one's going to be interesting because I think this is the game that everybody's kind of been waiting for, where Westbrook is not going to play. So they're going to see how the Lakers can do without him, right? Is he really the problem, or is there something else? So AD and James are probable. Westbrook unlikely to play. For the Nuggets, Jeff Green is probable. Porter is questionable with a back problem. I think Porter sits. I mean, his back problem has been a lingering issue throughout his career. And if they want to make it into the playoffs deep, they're going to need him healthy. So I think they might take precaution with him, to be honest, and he might sit this game. But it's definitely not official, but that is the way that I'm going. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Honestly, I was looking at this game last night, and I like the Lakers here. I like the Lakers with the points, if I'm being honest. If there's one thing that LeBron James loves, he loves to be right. And I think we all know that the Lakers want Russell Westbrook out of there. He's just not playing. Honestly, it was a bad move in the beginning. Just with LeBron, AD, and Russ, it was never going to work. It was never going to work. But because of what's going on now, they want Russell Westbrook traded, and I think LeBron wants to make a point. Because of that, I think he's going to play very well tonight. I think Anthony Davis is going to play very well tonight, and I think this is going to be a competitive basketball game because of it. When you take a look at the Denver Nuggets on the season, they have been giving a ton of points up, and it really doesn't matter to who. To the Jazz, they lost 123-102, but they gave up 123 to the Jazz. To the Warriors, they gave up 123. To the Thunder, they gave up 117. The Nuggets, 135. So they really are having a ton of trouble defending right now. And I know the Lakers aren't incredible in terms of defending and offense and all that, but with it being this spot, with them getting 5.5 points, I've seen 6 points in some locations. I think this is just going to be one of those spots where the Lakers come to play. They come to make a point essentially with Russell Westbrook, and I think it's going to be a great spot for maybe someone like LeBron James. I think it's going to be a great spot for someone like Anthony Davis, because does Jokic defend him? Does Aaron Gordon defend him? Either way, I give an edge to Anthony Davis, and I might see Jokic and Davis just staying away from each other, so neither into foul trouble. So if that's the case, then Anthony Davis has a very nice matchup against Aaron Gordon, and then LeBron James, I see him getting out and running. That Lakers bench is always up in question. Like that bench is brutal, man. It really is. But when you look at the Denver Nuggets bench, they have Bones Highland, and then after that, it's kind of up in the air as well. So for me, I would side with the Lakers here. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to make a point. I think LeBron plays well, and I think Anthony Davis does on top of that. And when the Lakers play good or when the Lakers win games, you're going to have to see both of those guys have near 30 points, a bunch of assists, a bunch of rebounds, and that's just how it's going to be the entire season.
Yeah, I think just overall not having Westbrook there, kind of, I don't even know who they're gonna put into the starting lineup, to be honest, but it'll be a more balanced starting lineup regardless of who they put in there. To me, I do still want to see how they work offensively for the Lakers without him. I do think it'll be a better lineup altogether, a better balance for them. The Nuggets, they struggled, like you mentioned, they struggled defensively. One way that I wanted to look at this game was actually Lonnie Walker. We talked about him a couple times on the show already. I feel like he's their third option here. And with Westbrook out the picture, it makes it more clear. And to me, 15.5 points is something that I feel like he could clear here. From a defensive standpoint, who's going to guard? Is it KCP? probably going to be guarding Walker. So
Yeah.
for me, I just feel like KCP, obviously he's a good addition to the offensive side of the ball, but I don't think laterally he can move as quick, or I don't think he can move with Lonnie Walker. And the other thing too, he might get more opportunity with his 3-point shot as well in this game, with Westbrook not being there to take those mid-range shots or whatever he does. Someone that actually is willing to kick out. LeBron James is obviously, he's gonna get his points, but he does a good job of kicking out to his teammates. Hopefully they trust Lonnie Walker in this game here, because he has. I mean, I think this is his game to prove that he's their third option, in my opinion, and that might give them some motivation to do more work, to maybe even trade Russell Westbrook or something. I don't know. There's a lot of narratives that can go on in this game just based off of Westbrook not being in the game, if that makes sense. So to me, Lonnie Walker points over, or even 3-point prop over as well, could be a look on that game. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, I definitely like the Lonnie Walker look. Lonnie Walker is a spark plug. He has gone off with the San Antonio Spurs before, and he hasn't done it with the Lakers yet. So it's all about picking those spots. You know what I mean? If I see a player and he's missed 2 games in a row, maybe 3 games in a row, that's not going to shy me away. That's when I want to play it, because when you're on those odds, when you're playing the percentages, that's when they're going to hit. So I do like that Lonnie Walker play. I think someone who might get a little more minutes tonight too is Kendrick Nunn. Kendrick Nunn is a very solid guard. He was out the entire year last year. He came from the Miami Heat, Oakland University here in Michigan, shout out. But he is a very solid player. I love how he attacks the basket. He's a confident player too. He actually wants the ball. He likes to shoot. So I'd like to see what Kendrick Nunn does here, but I think the Lonnie Walker play is very nice. Lonnie Walker is that team's third option. They definitely need a little more shooting on the outside, in the mid-range. And Lonnie Walker is definitely one of those guys who can go out and make it happen, And one thing I wanted to comment on before getting on the show, I don't know if I saw a NBA rumors thing, and they were saying that Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson for Russell Westbrook is almost inevitable at this point in time.
Wait, that's been talked about?
I guess I saw it. I mean, it was Twitter rumors, but you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I could see that one kind of happening, because Kyle Lowry hasn't been playing very good. Duncan Robinson is, they want to get rid of that contract for sure. And with Russell Westbrook, it's almost been insane, because when he was with the Wizards, he was a cash cow for triple doubles, and he's just fallen off a cliff with the Lakers. And I understand not everyone plays good with LeBron James. There's a huge, and LeBron fans, I'm sorry, but there's a huge sample size out there. Go look at Jordan Clarkson, go look at Kyle Kuzma. There is a big sample size of people who have not played good with LeBron. So, I don't know. I do hope he gets a new team and kind of can rejuvenate his career, because I am a Westbrook fan, but he's definitely not playing good basketball. There's no question about it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was actually in a YouTube. I was watching a YouTube show, and someone mentioned Westbrook being traded, and I said Duncan Robinson's name in.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, that was pretty funny. All right, so well, with that said, we broke down those 3 games there. Now it's time for the best bets. I'll just go first. Mine is pretty quick. I'm going with the Wolves here, -9. One big trend that I use for the past couple of seasons because of scheduling. Since the 2020 season, when teams play back-to-back games and the favorite lost the first game and is a favorite again in the second game, those teams are 45, 22, and 1 against the spread. This fits the situation that the Wolves are in. They were in a bad spot playing a second game of back-to-back road to home games in the one that they lost a couple of days ago. Now they're rested and they want to get this quick revenge out of the way. I'm expecting a big game from Edwards and company, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because Edwards really struggled in that spot. I see the Wolves winning this one by double digits here. Matt, what is your best bet for the show today?
So my best bet for the show today, so I have 2 actually. I have a money line play. I really like the Milwaukee Bucks today. We kind of dug into that earlier, but a lot of that comes down to the Milwaukee Bucks and their defensive efficiency. For me, obviously, I love Kevin Durant. I love Kyrie Irving, what they can do on the basketball court, just point getters. You know what I mean? But I think it's a little too much on their shoulder when going into Milwaukee. Like I was saying, 26-10 at home last year, and 26-6 with, four of those losses were without Giannis. So 26-6 at home with Giannis on top of that. I just think it's a tall task for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. It does make me slightly nervous that they lost last game to Memphis, played pretty well. But in all honesty, I still grade the Bucks as a tougher play than that of the Memphis Grizzlies. And, it's a comparable place to play as well. It's tough to play in Memphis. It's just as tough to play in Milwaukee. I expect a better game from Drew Holiday here. And once again, going back to that defensive efficiency, I think this is a sound NBA Bucks team. And I think it's a better coached our Bucks team here. I'm not a big fan of Steve Nash and what he does in terms of coaching. I think he's a little lost out there. And I think if there's a game and it's close and it comes down to coaching and drawing up plays or making adjustments, I think the Bucks have that edge as well. So I like the Bucks money line on that one. I'm actually going a money line play here.
Real quick on that too, before you talk about the Van Fleet over. Mm-hmm. There's one way I know money line -165, and in the NBA, a lot of people kind of just focus in on the spreads, right? Not the money line, especially when it's at like a -165. One thing, and shout out to Ski Profit for this. One thing that he does that I think is really cool is he'll take the money. You know how in baseball when you do the run line when it's -1.5, right? But then you make it you price it at 1 by taking the run line plus the money line. Mm-hmm. You can actually do that in the NBA as well, right? You can do a half unit on the money line at -165, and then take the other half at the -3.5 spread. That way, it kind of cheapens your price a little bit. That's one way that that Ski does it, and I think it's a really good idea. Before you get into your Van Fleet, what are your thoughts on doing that in the NBA?
No, yeah, I think that's a great idea. And for me too, like I'm always looking at different angles, different avenues to try and, bring in profit, make more money. And I think that's definitely a great way to do it. That's something that I'd have to definitely check out going forward. Is that something you do yourself?
Yeah, I actually started it this season. Last year, he talked about it last year. And then it was something that's kind of new to me. So I was like, well, it makes a lot of sense. It's like we do it in baseball, right?
Yeah.
The run line.
Yeah.
You can do it in hockey, all the money line stuff. And if you're wanting to do money line in the NBA instead, even because a lot of people just they say a lot of things about, I'll never lay, -1 over -150 or something like that. But at the same time, if you see value on the line, regardless of what the price is, you should just take it, right? But some people who don't believe in that, they want to lessen the price. They could just do that they call it, or he calls it the ski line, which is the money line and the spread there. So that's one way to do it. Did you talk about the Van Fleet already, or?
No, I haven't talked about Fred.
Yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to really bring that up real quick because I thought it was a good idea.
No, for sure. 100%. I appreciate you bringing that up, and I like it. And one thing I did want to talk about real quick for those who are watching, because last night I found a pretty cool website. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's called dunksandthrees.com. Mm-hmm. And it basically just gives all the ratings for the team. You get your adjusted net rating, you get your offensive adjusted rating, defensive adjusted rating, pace of play, offensive pace play, defense. It's got everything. So it's really nice, just right in front of your face if you're someone who likes to dive into those stats. But getting back to the play, my favorite player prop tonight is actually Fred Van Fleet over 17.5 points. And right now that's plus 100. So you're getting even money on a Fred Van Fleet play. And this is also something that the past 2 seasons, Fred Van Fleet has averaged over 18 points per game. This season, he's hitting this number at around a 50% rate. So against the 76ers, I was a little surprised to see a number like this and to see a price tag along with it. When looking at the 76ers backcourt, James Harden, not really known for his defense. Tyrese Maxey, not exactly known for his defense either. They're more so offensive players. The 76ers backcourt when facing the Celtics gave up 70 points to, 35 points to Jaylen Brown and 35 to Jason Tatum. I know he's not a guard, but 39 points to the Spurs, 37 points to the Pacers. And it's just one of those spots where I think it's a great matchup for Van Fleet. The last time that he faced the Philadelphia 76ers with Harden and with Maxey, he put up 32 points against them. Again, these guys are not solid guarding 1 and 2 players for the most part. And when diving into this a little bit further, You look at the 76ers team, and they have not been playing great defense. They have been very lazy on defense, and a lot of that does come down to Joel Embiid. If he doesn't get up and down the court, then you have an odd number of players when the offensive team is down there. So someone is going to be open. Someone is going to attack the basket. You swing that basketball around, and someone is open for three. And I think that very well could be Fred VanVleet for tonight. And if you're getting a plus 100 price tag with a player who averaged this the past 2 seasons and is hitting this at a 50% rate and is now facing one of the worst guarding backcourts in basketball, I'm a little confused with this number. So I really do. I like Fred VanVleet here over 17.5 points.
Yeah, John X, the site is Dunks and Threes, and threes is spelled out THREES. Oh, spelling it here.
It's pretty nice too. It's just got everything right in front of you. Like it's very cut and dry. That's the stuff I like, man.
Yeah. Just like high level data where you can catch stuff really quickly.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
That's actually a really great site there. That I mean, I'm familiar with it too. That's a good point out there. I love that breakdown, man, with VanVleet there. I think he's always been like a really good streaky shooter as well. So when he gets hot, man, like we talk about streaky. I mean, you saw Anthony Simons the other day.
Yeah,
he's one of the streaky guys too. But VanVleet is one of those guys as well. Man, with that said, I think we had a good show. We broke down three great games. Got some best bets out there. With that said, real quick, a couple of promos. Again, the $2 Tuesday is available. Dion D'Amico and Dr. Chuck still available for their $2 Tuesday plays. And then the 31% off any all-access package at SportsMemo and Wager Talk. The code is BOO31. So head over to the sportsmemo.com website after the show for more information. With that said, man, Friday, we'll see you guys on Friday. Good luck till then. Peace.
Hey, and I appreciate you, JR. I like that comment. I had a rough day yesterday, so that Pelicans pick, I was happy to get that out for a free one for everyone. So thank you. Appreciate the comments, guys.
That was a good look, bro. All right, take care, guys.